We're excited to bring you this next segment of Passionate Living because I can't wait for you to meet some of the amazing cast of characters who work on this wonderful show. As well, you're going to hear some of the funny stories of things that happen backstage that you don't necessarily get to see on the air. And I think you're really going to love this little story that we put together for you about passionate living for the new year. When I came back to Buffalo a few years back to help to support family here after some big changes, I took on this role of working at a TV station, running a TV station. And during the time of the pandemic, the owner said, I felt frustrated because I wanted to do more to lift the community. And he said, well, do your show, do Passionate Living. That's what you do. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I could do the show.
When the show started, it was mostly Zoom and at home because it was in the middle of the pandemic. But now we are going places and seeing things, and it's definitely a lot broader. And it is also now outside of Buffalo and in person other places.
I love the thought that someone might be sitting in their chair watching the show and feeling discouraged or not having the courage to step out to do what it is that they came here to do, what they really love. And maybe one of our guests or something on the show will strike a nerve in them, and they will actually start to live their dreams and to use those dreams to help lift the world around them.
That's the joy I get when I see people coming here that grew up in the projects with me, and they look at me and say, wow, look at them.
Now, I brought us a slingshot.
How's that gonna help us?
Because if we get in a survival situation and we're starving, we get squirrels.
Squirrels?
Okay. I love doing the show and having Rosina involved, my niece. She is just one of the greatest lights in my life. And when we started this project and I told her, let's do a show, and she was like, all right, I don't have to be on camera, do I? She was a really good sport about it. She did not want to be on camera, but she's such a natural. Then we had the station help with some of the editing. I would put together, the spots I wanted, and Tim would make it look good.
One of my favorite parts of editing Passionate Living is Kat wants nearly every segment to end on a quote. And it usually fell on me to find the quote. So a nice little way, a little bow. And it's my little signature on every segment, which kind of helps with the feeling of the show.
And then Sophie lives across the street from me, and during the pandemic she wasn't able to go do an internship out in Cali that she was destined for, and was very frustrated about that. So she started coming to the station with me, and when she came back from film school in Boston, I draped Sophie onto the team.
I like working on the show because we get to meet a lot of different people who express their passions in different ways. You wouldn't see these people or get to know their stories just every day. I mean, I'm sure all sorts of people exist in the world, but it's nice getting that exposure to new ideas and then new experiences through working on the show.
This amazing young man joined our team, who I met through our mutual friend Mel, and he was just a bright light and passionate about doing the show as well, and had such a great sense of how to shoot things in his work and how to edit. And he became like a son to me.
I like working on Passionate Living. I grow as a person, I grow as a videographer, especially with such high standards that Catherine has for Passionate Living, which is a good thing. We reach for perfection, and that really pushes us, the team, me, Sophie, Rosina, and everyone else involved, Tim, to make the show the best version of itself.
I liked when we traveled to Philly for the Natural Products Expo, and we got to see a little bit of the city, and especially when we made the spontaneous decision to go to the Rocky Stairs and race to the top of them. That was a really fun experience, and I made my on-camera debut for Passionate Living, so this is part 2.
The most fun I had in creating or editing a segment was the one at Sweet Jenny's with Rosina.
My least favorite segment was probably the Sweet Jenny spot,
where I, in the background, tortured her. Honestly, it was worth it.
because if you couldn't tell, I have a fear of bugs, and well,
Ow! Oh my God, was it a leaf? Ah, there's a leaf. Was it a bug? Ah, there's a worm. Something bit me. If this is how I die.
My other favorite segment was the Marbon segment on one of the more recent shows.
What's his name?
Refat.
Yeah, what?
Refat.
Reflex?
Refat.
Oh, Reed.
Refat.
Reed Fox.
Close enough. Reed Fox.
I think that was probably the best thing ever. I would say made my day, probably my month. The difficulty with pronouncing his name just felt like it was well deserved.
Rosina had her fair play of revenge. R-I-F-A-T. Rifat, not Refox, not the Rifati, not the Rafati, it's Rifat. Thank you.
So I think working on the show, I've really learned to be more detail-oriented, and I'm still growing to be more detail-oriented when it comes to all aspects of production, because I think to work in this field, there's all the little things that, can be missed, and I think through Kat's guidance, I've been trying to pick up on more and more of them. And hopefully someday I will be able to work on my own show and potentially run without any hiccups.
This is what we do behind the scenes for voiceover.
Yeah, this is our professional voiceover studio
ADR.
right here on Ashland Avenue with our loyal crew.
Kat, as the sort of producer, sort of head honcho, the person who pulls all the strings and makes it all happen, she's always on, always in contact. Early on in the show, every Tuesday when it would first air, she would text me, a bunch of suggestions for changes for the next airing. And I remember one day I was watching a suspense movie, and it was Night of the Hunter with Robert Mitchum. And I was just really getting into it, and then I got this buzz, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I just gave a quick glance, and I was like, all right, it's Tuesday. It must be Kat, and the show must be on right now. I was like, okay, just put it, get back into the movie, and then buzz. I'm just like, oh, man. And it must have been like 20 suggestions. So then I was like, hey, Kat, maybe just give it to me in an email the next day. I don't really need to know right then.
Tim, I just always assumed you were watching the show with me on Tuesday nights.
The funny thing is I don't actually get the station because I don't have cable. So I literally cannot watch the show.
Well, I got better. I started
Yes,
sending them
yes.
in the emails. We've had so much support through the course of making the show. So many dear friends, the owner of the station, Phil Arnaud, John DeShulo, every one of our crew at WBDC. And then we have this support system around us, like Chuck Anderson and C. Knox and Ravi Konikoff and other friends, David Corbett, just a whole mass of friends who have been involved in giving us stories and helping out from that standpoint.
I'm grateful for the journey that we are in here, especially with my loving soul mom, Kat. She was not only there for me on a professional level, but also on a personal level. It's kind of hard to imagine a life without her right now. We're so attached. It's like now she's my family. She's my soul mom, and I love her. Thank you.
Gosh, guys, slow down.
I know, he was walking fast. I was trying
And
to
we're
keep up.
going uphill, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Rifa. And hopefully, from everybody at Passionate Living, we are making a difference in our community by hopefully lighting you, our viewer, up to inspire you in this new year to do whatever it is that you came here to do, whatever it is that lights you up, and then to take that light and to give it to the world around you. That is the ultimate definition of living an empowered life, a dream life. And I hope in this new year we've inspired you to step even more fully into whatever it is you came here to do, whatever you love doing, whatever lights you up. From everyone at Passionate Living, Happy New Year from us to you. Oh my God, I'm so freaking cold. Whose idea was it to shoot outside? I think it was mine. Here you
That's
go. There's the
okay.
mic.
Anything for the shot.
Anything for the shot. Poor Refat with his driving gloves. He's never going to survive Buffalo.
No,
with
we need to
his
get you some mittens. I think that's the next step.
mittens.